Imagine feeling like everything around you is falling apart. Maybe you've been hoping for a child, but it hasn't happened yet. Or perhaps you or someone close to you is battling a tough illness, and it feels like a weight on your soul. You might even be searching for a job without any luck so far. These are tough, real situations that can make anyone feel lost or forgotten. It's completely natural in times like these to feel like turning away from everything, even from God. You might start to think that maybe God has left you to fend for yourself, but let me tell you something important. God hasn't abandoned you. Not now, not ever. No matter how deep the waters seem or how dark the path looks, God is there. This message isn't new. It's been echoed through time. Let's think back to some of the oldest stories we know, those from the Bible, where even heroes of faith faced seemingly impossible situations. These stories aren't just ancient texts. They offer real insights into how dealing with our deepest struggles can bring about profound transformation and hope. Take Abraham and Sarah, for instance. They were old, well past the usual age for having kids, yet they held on to a promise from God, a promise of a child. It seemed laughable, impossible even, and yes, there were moments when they tried to take control of the situation themselves, which only led to more complications and pain. This part of their story is incredibly human and relatable. God promised them a son, and despite the improbability, God delivered on that promise. When Sarah finally embraced the possibility, despite her initial disbelief and laughter, their son Isaac was born. Through this, God showed that no situation is too barren for hope, no matter how delayed the promise might seem. Now, shifting to another story, think of Hannah. She was taunted and tormented by her own inability to have children. Yet, she poured out her heart to God so fervently that she was mistaken for being drunk. But her sincerity in prayer was clear, and it moved God to action. Hannah's story didn't just end with her going home. It concluded with her becoming a mother to Samuel and later more children. Both of these stories emphasize a key point. Focusing on God rather than our problems can lead to miracles we never thought possible. It's about where you place your trust. And yes, this isn't about ignoring your pain or pretending everything is okay. It's about where you turn when things seem darkest. The advice to not be anxious about anything might sound overly simplistic, especially when you're in the thick of it. But there's profound depth in deciding to bring everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving to God. This act of surrender can bring a peace that doesn't make sense in ordinary terms. It's a peace that protects your heart and mind even in chaos. So, when faced with trials, large or small, remember these stories. Remember that turning to God and laying down your worries at His feet isn't a last resort. It's a powerful first step. Trust in Him can reshape your outlook, bringing light into the darkest of situations. In embracing this way of life, of faith, prayer, and thanksgiving, you open up a pathway for peace to enter, guarding your heart and mind, just as promised in the Scriptures. Let these truths sink in, and let them guide you through whatever challenges you face. This isn't just about waiting for miracles. It's about walking in faith every step of the way. Listen, maybe you've been praying for a breakthrough in a situation that looks impossible. It's normal to feel sad or frustrated when things aren't going your way. But while it's okay to feel sad, Staying stuck in sadness and self-pity isn't the way forward. Instead, the Bible encourages us to bring our sorrows and burdens to God and let Him take care of them. You might wonder, how do I bring my troubles to God? It starts with a simple step, prayer. As Matthew 7:7-8 tells us, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be open. This promise reassures us that when we reach out to God, He is ready to respond. Let's look at a story from the Bible that beautifully illustrates this. In Mark 5, there's a woman who had been suffering for 12 years from a condition that left her constantly bleeding. She had spent all she had on doctors, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. But when she heard that Jesus was passing by, hope sparked within her. This woman believed that if she could just touch Jesus' clothes, she would be healed. Imagine the scene. The crowd was thick, and touching Jesus wouldn't have been easy, but she pushed through, driven by her faith. And the moment she touched the hem of His garment, she was healed instantly. Jesus, feeling the power go out from Him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" The woman came forward, trembling with fear, yet she fell at His feet and told Him the whole truth. Jesus' response to her is a powerful testament to the strength of faith. "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Her story isn't just a miracle. It's a lesson that when you think all human help has failed, there is still one more option: turning to the Lord. Her healing was immediate and complete, showing that God's power surpasses all we can understand. Are you in a situation that seems beyond repair? Remember, nothing is too difficult for God. Take, for instance, another incredible story from the Bible about Moses and the Israelites in the book of Exodus. After escaping from Egypt, they found themselves trapped between the advancing Egyptian army and the Red Sea. To them, it seemed like the end of the road. The sea in front of them, the enemy behind them. Where could they possibly go? But Moses told the people to not be afraid and to stand firm. What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. God instructed Moses to stretch out his hand over the sea, and God parted the waters to create a dry path through the middle of the sea. The Israelites walked on dry ground with walls of water on either side. Not only did they escape, but when the Egyptians tried to follow, God caused the waters to return, swallowing up the entire army. It was a dramatic demonstration of God's power to save and a reminder that when we see obstacles, God sees opportunities for miracles. Let's not forget the story of Lazarus in John 11. Lazarus was dead for 4 days before Jesus arrived. His sisters, Martha and Mary, were mourning and told Jesus that if he had been there, Lazarus wouldn't have died. But Jesus had a greater plan, not just to heal Lazarus, but to bring him back from the dead, showcasing his power over life and death. Jesus told Martha, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die." Do you believe this? Martha's affirmation of faith set the stage for one of the greatest miracles Jesus performed. When Jesus called Lazarus out of the tomb, he didn't just bring a man back to life. He strengthened the faith of all who were present. This act of raising Lazarus was a clear demonstration that God's timing is perfect and His ways are beyond our understanding. In your life, when you face what seems to be dead ends, remember these stories. They are not just ancient tales, but reminders that with faith, no situation is too dire for God to intervene. So don't hesitate to ask for His help, seek His guidance, and knock on the door of opportunity with prayer. Remember, God is always listening, always ready to take your burdens if you just let Him. When you're feeling downcast or trapped, lift your eyes in prayers to Him. Trust in His timing, His power, and His love. He has not forgotten you, and He is always at work, even when it's hard to see. Sometimes, life can feel like you're backed into a corner with no way out. You might be dealing with something really tough, like waiting for a long-held dream to come true or facing a challenge that seems too big to handle. In moments like these, it's easy to feel alone and stuck. But here's something important to remember. You're not alone in this. God is right there with you, promising to take care of you and help you carry your burdens. Think of it this way. When you focus only on the problems in front of you, it's like looking through a keyhole. Your view is limited, and all you can see is your current struggle. But God is asking you to step back and trust Him. He's got a much bigger picture in mind. He can part seas and move mountains if that's what it takes. With Him, what seems impossible to you is entirely possible. So, what does this mean for you? It means that no matter how tough things look, there's hope. You don't have to carry all that weight on your shoulders. Hand it over to God. Let Him take the lead. He's not just going to help you get by. He's going to help you overcome. That's what He does. He turns tough situations into triumphs. Start each day with this in mind. Look to God and remind yourself that He is in control. This doesn't mean your problems will vanish overnight, but it means you're not facing them alone. God is with you, and with Him, you can face anything. Keep your faith strong and watch as He shows you just how much He can do. You might just find yourself amazed at where He leads you.